tunay na wala na talagang kawala mga tol ang China. Dahil buong mundo mga tol no, alam na alam no kung paano tayo binubuli o paano tayo binubulas ng China. Tulad ngayon mga tol, nang papanoorin natin ngayon. Ito, international media to mga tol. Mula sa ang tawag tong channel na to, China Uncensored. Yan. The world is giving weapons to Philippines to fight China. Kasi napakarami nga naman mga bansa, mga tol, di ba? Nasasaksihan natin yan. Napakarami ng mga bansa ang sumusuporta, ang tumutulong sa ating Pilipinas na bansa, mga tol. No, para tayo magkaroon man lang ng palag. No, dahil makapangyarihan tong China, malaki sila eh, malakas sila eh. Di ba? Ang Pilipinas lang ang kinakaya nilang buli-bulihin, samantalang yung Vietnam, Indonesia, hindi nila magawang angasan yun eh, di ba? Pumapalag sa kanila eh. So ngayon, ito mga tol, panonoorin natin to. Bibigyan natin to ng reaction video. Tignan natin, no? Tignan natin kung ano yung nasa loobin o naiisip din ng ibang mga bansa, mga international media, no, tungkol sa ginagawa ng China. Alright, so wag na natin itong patagalin pa. Total, wala na rin naman tayong hinihintay na. Panoorin na natin to mga tol.
The Philippines has had enough with China, so it's radically changing up its military to counter the threat.
Diba? Nagsawa na ang Pilipinas. Had enough. No? Sawa na Pilipinas mga tol sa patuloy na ginagawa daw ng bansang China. Kaya eto, nakikita nila na talagang ini-improve natin, no? Mas pinapalakas pa natin yung ating kakayanan, no? Para ma-counter natin yung mga banta nila.
Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. For years, China has been bullying the Philippines in the South China Sea.
Yeah.
The Philippines' exclusive economic zone is included within China's 9-dash line, which is to say that China claims the Philippines' waters as its own, because apparently China thinks it's the Lion King. Everything the light touches is your kingdom, whether they accept it or not. To enforce this,
whether they accept it or not, di ba? Everything the light touches is your kingdom. So ganun na ganun, no? Ang ugali mga tol nito, mga chekwang to mga tol, di ba? For years, sabi nga ganun, no, nung nagbabalita, sila mismo nakakaalam, di ba? For years, no? Napakahabang panahon na talaga binubulas tayo ng China mga tol. At yung kabuuan ng South China Sea, pati na rin yung Philippine waters ay kiniklaim nilang kanila. Diba? Parang ang Lion King nga daw, no? Everything that the light touches is your kingdom.
Everything the light touches is your kingdom,
tanggapin man nila o
whether
hindi.
they accept it or not. To enforce this so-called claim, China harasses Filipino ships with water cannons and performs dangerous ship maneuvers, all to keep the Philippines from laying any claims in the South China Sea.
Hindi Pilipino tong nagsasalita mga tol, pero sila bukas din ang mga mata nila sa nakikita nila na ginagawa nitong bansang to.
You know, claims to areas that are rightfully already theirs. This is like if your neighbor parked his car in your driveway, then when you asked him to move it, he blasted you with a super soaker.
Ooh.
And I'd say you should call your HOA, but the HOA is probably in China's pocket.
Yun nga lang.
Of course, Chinese state-run media tries to gaslight the world by claiming that it's the Philippines that's being provocative in the South China Sea. But it's pretty...
Yan, isa pa, napakagaling nila mang gaslight mga tol, di ba? Yung binabaliktad pa nila tayo, Pilipinas pa daw ang nagpo-provoke sa kanila.
By claiming that it's the Philippines that's being provocative in the South China Sea. But it's pretty clear who's the bully. And the Philippines has had enough. And it's revamping its military to fight back. They're upgrading all 9 of their South China Sea outposts to make them more habitable for troops.
Yeah.
The Philippines is also drastically improving its surveillance capabilities with a brand new monitoring center in Tihu Island and the ongoing procurement of Japanese FPS-3ME radar systems. They're essentially in the training montage phase of every Rocky movie. Only instead of boxing, this time it's naval warfare. But in order to counter China's hundreds of surface combat ships, submarines, and maritime militia, the Philippines needs to upgrade its navy. It needs to transform itself from a force focused on counterinsurgency against communists and Islamists to one better equipped to counter China. Because at this point, the Philippines should be more worried about China than about MILFs. No, not that kind of MILF. I'm talking about the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. I have to imagine they went with that acronym for secrecy, because good luck finding anything about them by Googling MILF. The good news is that the Philippines has been working hard on a 3-phase military modernization plan, and it has reached the final stage.
Yung final stage, kulang na kulang pa yan. Kailangan magparoon pa ng phase 4, phase 5. Walang hanggang pag-modernize, di ba? Yung ibang bansa nga na malalakas, patuloy ang pag-modernize nila eh. Tayo final na. Hindi dapat, no?
Military modernization plan, and it has reached the final stage. Filipino President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. just signed a $35 billion spending plan for the next 10 years that will focus on intelligence, surveillance, and deterrence in their waters and airspace. Yeah, that's right, China. I said their waters, as in belongs to the Philippines. Right now, the Philippines has 2 Jose Rizal-class frigates and around 125 patrol and coastal combat ships. But it's going to see huge changes within the next few years. The Philippines is adding a lot more patrol boats with the help of foreign partners, including the US, Israel, Japan, and South Korea. Man, I wish I had that many friends that would let me borrow their boats. You get one ship stuck one time, and suddenly no one trusts you ever again. That could happen to anyone. When it comes time to modernize your military, it definitely helps to have friends. Israel Shipyards Limited handed the Philippines the keys to a newly refurbished shipyard last year, which has improved the Philippines' abilities to build fast attack interdictor craft missiles.
Wow.
And South Korea, which built the Philippines 2 Jose Rizal-class frigates, is also building the Philippines 2 new corvettes, which will be equipped with anti-ship missiles. And if you're wondering, corvettes are also a type of boat. They're not getting cars with rocket launchers. Pretty sure you need to be James Bond for that. Indonesia, meanwhile, has begun construction of the Philippine Navy's 2 new landing dock vessels. A great supplement to the 5 Balikpapan-class landing craft heavy vessels that Australia already gave to the Philippines. As the cherry on top, the Philippines is getting missiles, lots of missiles, from the US, India, and other countries. The goal for all this is to protect the Philippines' access to natural resources found in its little corner of the South China Sea, and to allow intelligence gathering in the area. Now, I don't mean to get up on my soapbox here, but try to lead a life as wholesome as the Philippines so that the entire free world joins together in giving you heavy firepower.
Nakikita kasi ng maraming bansa, nakikita ng buong mundo, no? Kung ano ang pangangailangan ng Pilipinas. Dahil ang Pilipinas, mga tol, nasa legal, no? Nasa tamang lugar, nasa tamang landas, mga tol. At hindi siguro nila hahayaan na ang isang bansa, di ba? Na katulad nga no sinabi niya kanina, parang Lion King daw, no? Everything that the light touches is your kingdom. Hindi malayo, mga tol, na kapag hinayaan nila itong China maghari-harian at makuha ang buong South China Sea, marami pang ibang aangkinin to, mga tol. Diba? Marami pang ibang aangkinin yan. Pwedeng maging problema pa nila yan eh. Saka malaking problema talaga nila yan pagdating sa mga kalakalan. Lalo na may mga partners din tayo, mga tol, sa iba't ibang mga bansa na naaapektuhan din, no, dahil dito sa ginagawa nitong mga Chekwa.
But beyond all that, there's one major project that the Philippines is investing big money in. This could radically change things in the South China Sea. The Philippines is ready to take on China, but they need more weapons.
True.
That's why Marcos approved the purchase of the Philippines' first submarines. This is major. It would keep China constantly on edge. Submarines are a lot harder to target and destroy than surface ships, but they'd be even harder for China to target hidden in the canyons and shoals of the Spratly Islands, which again, China, belongs to the Philippines. And don't worry, these things are way more well constructed than the ones from Ocean Gate. These submarines could not only threaten to sink Chinese ships, but also could help support intelligence gathering, special forces operations, and even mine laying. The founding president, Chester Cabalza, of International Development and Security Cooperation, a Manila-based think tank, points out that the planned submarine purchase signifies a strong paradigm shift from focusing on internal security to territorial defense. This is like instead of kindly asking your neighbor to move their car, you install parking spikes. No more Mr. Nice, Philippines. According to Cabalza,
no more Mr. Nice
the Philippines
Philippines
is finally breaking from its shell to become a maritime power to watch for in the region. The Philippines didn't specify how many submarines it plans to acquire, but according to a spokesman for the Filipino Navy, it's definitely more than one.
Yeah.
Submarines are like dogs. You get one, then you feel bad and might be lonely, then you get a dog for your dog, get a dog for that dog, and before you know it, you've already got a whole fleet of war-ready maritime dogs.
Actually, kailangan talaga natin ng whole fleet, mga tol. Dahil nga ang kalagayan ng ating bansa, mga tol, napapalibutan tayo ng katubigan eh. 'Di ba? Biruin mo mula nung unang panahon, di naman nagbago yung structure ng Pilipinas. Napapalibutan na talaga tayo ng mga karagatan. Pero bakit ngayon tayo nagsisimulang magsagawa ng ganito? Dapat nung una pa lang di ba? Masyado kasi tayo na-focus sa internal problem natin di ba? Hindi natin masyadong nabigyan pansin yung labas.
But it might not be a lot more than one because the projected cost of obtaining 2 submarines is anticipated to be between 1.25 billion and
Yun nga lang.
1.80 billion.
Mahal.
No worries, we've got this. Let me just check between my couch cushions. The idea of a Filipino submarine fleet has been in the works since at least 2015.
Yeah, in 2015, we started forming the so-called submarine group of the Philippine Navy. And we
Tagal na,
are
no?
already actually starting to train our personnel, even though we don't have the submarine, because we have learned that in order to have a better or a best submarine force, you start with your personnel.
They're training for something they don't even have yet?
Tama.
That's dedication to fighting China. But when it comes to building a submarine force, it helps to have friends, or at least people willing to cut you a deal. For example, France. According to a statement released by DCI Group, the French Armed Forces operator that's in charge of transferring French know-how to international partners, Philippine Navy officers began training in 2019. This was definitely offered to sweeten a deal for the Philippines to buy French submarines.
Tindi no, nagte-training na tayo mga tol. Wala pa tayong submarine no. Ganyang katindi Pilipino.
So some of these countries aren't doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, they're just doing it because they see dollar signs. Well, I guess the best way to fight communism is with blatant capitalism. The French defense company Naval Group offered to supply 2 diesel-electric Scorpion-class submarines. These submarines would be part of a much larger submarine force package that would include technology transfer, personnel training, and an upgrade for a former U.S. naval base at Subic Bay. The proposed upgrade includes the creation of 4-finger piers that can support both submarines and surface vessels, a maintenance yard, a logistics depot, command and control facilities for the submarine force, and a submarine force training center. That's a pretty tempting deal, especially given the
Pwede.
Scorpion submarine's capabilities. Just don't let them talk you into an extended warranty or fabric protection, Philippines. The dealer always tries to upsell you on those. According to Naval Group, the Scorpion SSK design being offered to the Philippine Navy has a crew complement of 31 sailors with a range of more than 10,000 nautical miles and an at-sea endurance of 80 days.
Wow.
Now, these are actually better than most existing Scorpion models, like the ones used by Chile, Malaysia, and India. Each sub would be equipped with 6 torpedo tubes that can deploy a total of 18 munitions, including SM-39 Exocet anti-ship missiles and F-21 heavyweight torpedoes. If the Philippines chooses France to develop its submarines, Naval Group predicts that it would be able to transfer the first Scorpion model within 6 years.
Matagal.
6 years. I
Tagal.
get that submarines take a long time to build, but China's an imminent threat now.
Tama.
That might be why the Philippines is weighing other options as well. South Korea's Hanwha Ocean offered to build the Philippines a variant of the KSS-3 submarine called the Jangbogo-3 PN submarine. This wouldn't include features like the KSS-3's missile vertical launch system and its hydrogen fuel cell propulsion, but it would include lithium-ion batteries. So, batteries are included. I never thought I'd live to see the day. These batteries have been called underwater game changers, though. Greater stealth, higher power output, a faster charge, extended operational periods, and reduced maintenance costs. Like France's Naval Group, Hanwha Ocean proposes its own submarine package to include training, logistical support, technology transfer, and upgrades to the Philippines Subic Bay base, with the first submarine seeing delivery after 7 years.
My goodness.
But again, China's a threat now.
Oo, ngayon ang banta Ngayon natin mas kailangan Wala bang ready-made na? Yung i-deliver na lang? Wala bang ganon?
The Philippines' third option would be Spanish state-owned company Navantia, which is offering 2 S-80 Isaac Perro-class submarines, along with a submarine package like France and South Korea's. The Azak Peril class are long-range conventional submarines enhanced with an air-independent propulsion system that allows them to stay underwater for as long as 3 weeks, far longer than other submarines that can stay underwater for just a few days before rising to recharge their batteries. The S-80s also have the ability to shoot American Tomahawk and Harpoon missiles.
Wow.
A Spanish submarine that could shoot American missiles. That's like an Xbox that could play PlayStation games. Honestly, that would be worth waiting 10 years for.
Oh my goodness.
Whatever option the Philippines chooses, China had better get ready.
Parang pinakamabilis yung sa Spanish no? 6 years lang. 7 years yung sa South Korea. 10 years naman to. Grabe. Ang tagal.
For the Philippines to stand up to its bullying. It's about time China got a taste of its own medicine
Yeah.
and retreat to the shadowlands where they belong.
Alright mga kapatid, ikaw anong masasabi mo no dito sa video na napanood natin no? Subscribe na rin tayo mga kapatid dito sa China Uncensored. Okay tong content na sinabi niya mga kapatid no. Totoo naman talaga na itong China ay kala mo feeling Lion King sila no, lahat ng nakikita nila kanila, lahat ng maisipan nilang angkinin kanila di ba? At ang Pilipinas mga tol, ito nga dapat tinitignan ng mga pro-China Ang Pilipinas ba walang karagatan? Dapat yan sagutin ninyo, di ba? Ang Pilipinas ba walang karagatan? Meron yung 12 nautical miles lang na nasasakop ng territorial natin, coastline natin o territorial sea. Yan, 12 nautical miles lang. So wala tayong exclusive economic zone. Yun ba yung gusto nyong palabasin? At talagang kamping-kampi kayo rito sa bansang to, dito sa China mga tol, na inaangkin yung kabuuan ng South China Sea at inaalisan tayo ng karapatan sa karagatan na tila ba sila lang ang anak ng Diyos at sila lang ang bukod tanging pinagpala sa lahat mga tol. Yan ang hindi ko maintindihan mga tol sa mga utak ng mga pro-China di ba? Wala namang problema kung nandiyan sila. Wala naman sanang problema kung inaangkin nila yung South China Sea o yung West Philippine Sea. Pero hindi sana nila tayo mga tol inaalisan ng karapatan no na gawin kung ano yung gusto nating gawin dito sa ating bakuran. Lalo-lalo na no, ayon sa international law at ayon sa batas, tayo talaga yung may karapatan diyan mga tol no. Yan, pwede kang mag-iwan ng iyong commentary sa ibaba mga tol. Maraming salamat sa panonood. Hanggang sa muli, ako nga pala si Shobal D. Peace out.